you for staying. My name is Mara Reinstein. Please join me in welcoming Judy Robles and Anthony Robles. I'm going to also note there is an empty chair. Jharrel had some transportation issues. He will be here. We'll give it a few minutes, so that's the empty chair, but he'll be here. In the meantime, congratulations to both of you. I was at Toronto last month, and they basically walked out to a standing ovation after that movie. What has the experience been like having your story told on the big screen like that?
This whole experience has been exciting and terrifying at the same time. And thank you all so much for coming out here to watch this. But I couldn't be prouder of what was shared. And I think going through this whole process of having our life story told, the ups and the downs, that's a scary feeling because you don't know exactly what's going to be put out there. That they can tweak certain things, they can kind of Hollywoodize it or whatever you want to say. But to see this finished product, this is something I'm extremely proud of, and I feel like they captured the overall message that we were hoping to get out there, which is that everyone wrestles at a challenge. You saw the challenge that my family wrestled on and off the mat, so to see that. To be here today, it's special because now we're just excited to be able to share this with the world.
Judy, what do you think?
It's still not real to me. I mean, when I was told that Jennifer Lopez would be playing me, that's not something that you would hear every day. That's or at all. So it's just been such an honor. Everyone's just been so kind and respectful and supportive of our family, and I think reliving the journey. With Anthony, we've been through a lot together and as a family. I think it's been a great experience for all of us. And Anthony always does these things and I'm like, okay. And this was another one of those okay moments where I followed along, but it's been a great experience. Everybody's been kind. Amazon, everybody along the way has been really great. And I'm just blown away. And again, it's still very unreal that this is going on.
Yeah, that was also quite a party at Toronto also afterwards. So you guys all, it's been a lot. It's a lot. It's just beginning. Anthony, you wrote a memoir. You're a producer on the movie. Can you talk us a little bit through the journey from that to what we just saw?
It's been a long process. I actually came out with the book back in 2013, was blessed with that opportunity, and to tell my life story in my own words. And then also when the opportunity to possibly present this as a film came up, it was exciting and terrifying at the same time. We knew that we had to find the right team, and we did find that right team with Artist Echo and with Amazon, who cared about the integrity of the message. And there were some script rewrites as we were going through the whole process, but throughout that whole process, what meant a lot to me was that they took the time to ask my family and I for our input. What did we like? What were we uncomfortable with? Because throughout the whole thing, they said, we want this to be something that your family is proud of, and they are true to their word. So to go through it, it was a crazy experience. This is a whole new world for us, but it was so much fun. Just sitting there at the table with my siblings, kind of reading through the script and the ups and the downs of it. But it was a dream, and it's just a blessing to be here today. And share this with everybody. So,
what was the most important thing that when you're reading these scripts that it had to be there, not just in terms of facts per se, but just what you wanted to capture about your story?
I think there are a couple different things. Number one, I wanted to really capture that where my strength came from was my faith in my family, and I think they did a great job of sharing that. And also, the hero in my life, I've got to meet some amazing people, but the hero in my life has always been my mom. And I wanted to make sure that they captured that, just because I tell people, basically from day one when I was born, the doctors were always focused on what I didn't have and what I couldn't do, and that was how the rest of the world saw me. But my mom, she chose me to not allow myself to have that mentality. She from day one told me to focus on what I was capable of, on what I could do. And so to have that portrayed, that my mom was my hero, that was important. And also being a wrestler, just making sure that the wrestling scenes was something that our wrestling community would be proud of. which was a lot of fun because they actually brought in one of my former assistant coaches from Arizona State to help design all the wrestling scenes, the choreography, and I also had my hand in the wrestling scenes as well as Jharrel's double. So.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get to wrestling. Don't worry. I was going to save it for Jharrel, but yeah, we can't not talk about it. Also, your mom was getting very emotional next to you, hearing you talk about her like that. Yeah, we see it from the very first scene, just that you are his biggest fan, his biggest advocate. I mean, it obviously had to be a big part of the movie, and you knew that as well, right?
Yes, but Anthony was the one that made sure that our relationship was a focal point of this film. I mean, I still, every day now, I'm remembering when I held him as a little baby, and then to see the man that he has grown up to be, loving him and being supportive of him through every twist and turn, no matter what the world threw at us or threw at him, has changed my life. I mean, my accomplishments, I give credit to my son, and it's because he pushed me and he loved me in the same way. So, I mean, I'm really blessed just to be his mom and to have this opportunity to share our stories and the struggles, because it made us who we are today. And you know, I'm grateful that through it all we remain close. Anthony and I have a language. It's nonverbal, that we can, it could be 400 people in the room, there could be 3, and we could look at each other and understand what we're saying. We can still do that to this day, and it's because of that close relationship that we have. But I'm very grateful and humbled that he would give so much credit to me.
Did the movie almost even like make your bond even tighter just to watch it play out like that, or being on the set?
It absolutely did.
Yeah.
You know, and it was really neat just being on the set, and again, it's a whole new world for us. So seeing, you know, 200 people just coming together to tell our story, and just sitting back and watching that, it was surreal for both of us, and kind of talking through it and reliving those moments. And you know, I think for both of us, that national championship match, you know, I can remember walking into that arena for the first day of filming and seeing it all, how it came together, all the little details. It was like a blast from the past. It was weird. You know, it was like I was reliving that moment all over again. And my mom was the first one to get emotional. You know, she started crying, and I saw her, and that made me tear up. You know, and it was just like, wow. You know, how did we get here? You know, how did we get this opportunity? It was a blessing, but also just the special little things along the way. For the Nationals, Billy Goldenberg, the director, he did a great job of just incorporating our whole entire family in some of the scenes. You know, all my brothers were on certain mats wrestling, and so to get that have that experience with them. One of my brothers was in the weigh-in scenes, and so for us to be able to watch back as a family and see these things, have everyone in there, it's awesome. You know, I couldn't be happier with it.
Judy, did you pop up somewhere and we missed it also?
I did.
Yes.
Y'all just have to watch it again to find me. But it was great. I mean, like Anthony said.
Wait. Tell us where.
Actually, well, Jennifer, when she and I were talking and she was getting to know who I was, she spent a lot of time trying to figure out how I acted and reacted during wrestling, because it's very different. There's a lot of movement, but I liked to pace. He was always walking up and down, just pacing, praying for him, and just like trying to focus, because I was just so stressed out. There's nothing I could do. He was the only one, you know, exerting all that physical energy, and I was just being mom. But she asked me, you know, well, what did you do? And I would rock, and there's scenes where she was rocking, but the scene I'm in is pacing up and down the aisle of the bleachers. She was just up and down, so she was going up, and I was coming down.
In that finals, in the big match. Okay.
Yes, yeah, that's me. So
okay.
she made sure to incorporate that, because that was me. I couldn't sit still, and if I had an opportunity at all to move, it was just little steps up and down, and she grasped that and put that in there.
I love that. What other kinds of conversations did you have with Jennifer, like leading up to the production?
We first met by Zoom, and that was a little intimidating. She is Jennifer Lopez, after all.
Is her Zoom name Jennifer Lopez?
It was actually someone else's Zoom.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Yes.
She popped on. But no, from the first second, she was extremely kind. She was very relatable to me. She shared stories with me that made me feel comfortable and open up. And I think that not only was I able to trust her. She needed me. It had to go both ways. So my trust in her and her trust in me had to work. And when she built that foundation with me from the beginning, that's when I was able to share with her a lot of the vulnerabilities that I did. You know, she'd ask how it felt, what I was thinking, again, the moments of me pacing up and down, and little things too that I caught, like when with Anthony, I'd always like wanted him to look at me, and I would say I'd touch his cheeks and I have him look in my eyes, because he's hurt a lot, he's been through a lot, and I've heard it and I've seen it, and people can be cruel and mean, but I always wanted him to look at me and to see my love and to hear my voice. So she added that throughout that movie, and to me, for her to capture all those details, she's extremely talented, but she's also extremely genuinely a caring and loving person to want to respect our relationship and me as a mom.
Yeah, and you as a wife, in a difficult relationship as well, and as a mom. So there's a lot going on in that role for sure. All right, well, let's just get to it, Anthony. Why wrestling? Is it like, it's pretty physically demanding? Is there something empowering about it? Why? Tell us about the sport. Why it means so much to you?
Yeah, you know, I got to give a shout out to my cousin. He was actually the one that introduced me to wrestling for the first time. He was 3 years older than me. We moved to Arizona before my freshman year started. Didn't know anybody, and so he just dragged me to wrestling practice. And I remember going that day, and I got my butt kicked, but I fell in love with the sport. You know, I just walked away with the biggest smile on my face. And what I loved about wrestling was that one-on-one aspect of it. You know, because like I said, pretty much all my life, everyone was focused on what I didn't have, what I couldn't do. You know, what would hold me back. Wrestling allowed me to kind of control the narrative of my life story. You know, and I could show people on that platform, on that wrestling mat, that it didn't matter what I was missing. You know, what mattered what I had inside. You know, I had up here. And I just liked how being out there on the mat, it was just basically you find your own style. You know, there's short wrestlers, there's tall wrestlers, there's stocky, men, women, some missing arms and legs, and it's just you do the best of what you have. And so that to me just gravitated, you know, it pulled me right into it.
Yeah, because like I feel like people think of wrestling as like The Rock, you know, and it's a lot more athletic than to it, as you mentioned. All right, well, as promised, Jharrel Jerome. How are you? Hi. Everything okay? Yeah, you're okay?
I just got into a little small accident on the FDR. I was on the lane closest to the barrier, so I'm trapped in the car and traffic moving all around us, and my heart's beating fast right now.
I was gonna say water.
Oh no.
Are you good? Okay.
I'm ready.
You're a native New Yorker.
Yes, I am.
So this is. But
and a wrestler, no.
Yeah, and a wrestler. But still, it shakes you up. You want to take a question? They've been doing really well without you. I'm just saying.
I was gonna say I'll head out. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm down for a question. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, tell us sort of where Anthony talked about sort of how it got to the big screen. Like, where do you join in? Obviously, you've played a real life character before with When They See Us. Why did you want to be involved in this movie?
Right, crazy story. I've been on this project since maybe a week after I won the Emmy for When They See Us. So I've been on board since before COVID in 2019. We met in 2020, so this has been a long process for us. I say the irony is that the movie's called Unstoppable, and we really actually never stopped because we went through COVID, and then we had a 7-week shooting process, and on week 3 the writer's strike started, so we had to stop again. But as for the feeling I got when I received the script and the story, I haven't really said this in front of you, so it's a little awkward, but I watched a YouTube clip of you. It was about 12 minutes long. It was an interview you did. I'm not sure where, but you were outside somewhere. And I saw the entire video, and immediately the wrestling aspect of it all was thrown out of my head. I knew that was going to be important, and the challenge was, you know, to form and transform into a wrestler. But the heart that Anthony has, the way you speak, the way you hold your chin up, your shoulders up, it's far more than whatever we see on the mat, you know. And so for me, it was exciting to try to find the layers of what I call a dominant wrestler, you know, someone who is such a beast on the mat, but has so much fragility at home, and just kind of towing that line. So honestly, man, it was like a juicy character.
So talk a little bit about both of you, how Anthony Stump Double, you mentioned, how you two worked together and collaborated, I guess starting with those really physical wrestling scenes.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, well, first of all, Brian Stith, they brought him a former Arizona State wrestling coach to basically help design the choreography scenes from the scratch. And we got to sit there at the dinner table talking things over, and really just Jharrel and I, just constant repetition on that wrestling mat together, just finding the different angles, just finding the timing with our opponents. And it was just hours and hours of practice. And I just got to give Jharrel a ton of credit, because the stuff that we were showing, it's high level wrestling, it's college level wrestling, but not only that, it's a very unique style. It's my style. So for him to be able to get down to certain angles, to do certain things with his body, for me, I've been doing it all my life, but for him to be able to grasp it in you know, a couple years time, it was incredible for me to watch. And a lot of it, again, it's, you know, there's only so much that you can kind of pad it up. When you're getting slammed, you're getting slammed. All these scenes were very physical, so we're walking away just bruised and beaten up, and Jharrel was coming back every single day just to committed to it. So.
For just getting into the training process was, I mean, we spent hours together. I trained for 6 months. Well, obviously it's, you know, throughout a set of years, but when we fully came back in 2023, we did a 6-month training process where, for me, I kind of called it like my own 9 to 5, where from 9 to 11, I was in the gym training and like working out and trying to get like this guy over there. And then from 11 to 1, I was with Anthony and his coach, Brian Stith, and we were, you know, like he said, on the mat for 2 hours every day. And then from 2 to 3:30, I did crutch training, so I had to learn how to be on the crutches. You know, this man could beat me in a race right now on the crutches. His control and his ability to move on them is flawless, and so I didn't want it to look like I sprained my ankle 2 weeks ago and I'm stumbling around on crutches, you know. So it was 6 months of pretty much calluses under my armpits and trying to learn how to be comfortable on them as if it's how I move. And then to end my day, I would get on a Zoom call with this dialect coach and learn how to take my New York accent out and stop saying water and coffee and start saying water and coffee. So it was kind of like, and that was 5 days a week for about 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Can I ask you also specifically about the scene, the training montage? I mean, every great underdog sports movie has the training montage. This one, I sat there watching, like, how did you do it? How did you do it when you're coming up the mountains like that? What? I'm gonna say that wasn't a sound stage. Where did you film that? What was that like?
That was one day in Arizona, actually, right? Was that the actual mountain you used to hike, or
Close to it.
Close to it. So it was around the area. We woke up. We got called at 3:30 in the morning that day, and we shot till 8 p.m., 9 p.m. And we shot the entire scene in one day. It took the entire day to shoot the entire scene. And Billy actually told me he used every single shot that was required. Like, it was a very stressful day. He didn't get everything he wanted, so every single thing he shot that day is in the film. He didn't leave anything behind. As for the exhaustion of it all, he took over a lot that day. Anthony really took over that day and did a lot of that work.
Anthony, was that the second time you've had to do that hike through the mountains like that, I assume?
It definitely brought back the memories.
Yeah.
But luckily, you know, with all the wrestling training, I was in decent shape, but definitely feeling it at the end of that day. You know, with the scenes where Jharrel's hands were bloody, that was, you know, that's really what happened. You know, just the constant just rubbing on your hands under the armpits. You know, it was physically and mentally demanding to go through that, but you know, it was something that for me, it was always about gaining the respect of my teammates, doing everything that they did. So I believe that scene really captured that part of it, just doing everything that they did, finding a way to get it done.
What were you thinking the first time you had to do it? Were you thinking, I can't, like, this is just too much even for me? Or do you always have that I can do this mentality?
I always had that I can do this mentality, and that comes from my mom, just seeing things like a puzzle. It's not that I can't do it, it's how can I do it. And I remember that scene, to run that peak, it's basically the end of Hell Week. We call it Hell Week at Arizona State. They don't cut you off the roster, they make you quit. And so they just push you through these challenging workouts. And so the final one is to run that peak. And I remember our coach told us, okay, this is what we got Saturday morning. And for me, knowing it's going to take me a little bit longer to get up there, I had to get up a little bit earlier, but it was never that I couldn't do it. It was just, okay, I'm going to figure out a way, find the formula for myself to get up to the top of that mountain. So.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love the two coaches in this movie, played by Michael Pena, Don Cheadle. I guess also just for both of you, just for you, Jharrel, talk a little bit about the bond, about the relationship that you had to form with these two actors, and they're really like the father figures in your life.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Anthony will definitely speak to them being father figures. But as for actually working with Don and Michael, I mean, like, it's a dream. I like to call actors boxers. Like, we get in the ring and we box each other. And Don Cheadle was Mike Tyson. And so he knocked me out. So it's really fun to show up to work and kind of get that extra push and that extra layer of pressure as an actor, working with people like you've grown up watching. And as for the bond, that just came naturally. I think we just had a sort of level of respect for each other, which I really appreciated from them because I look up to them, but it never felt like they looked down on me. So that allowed for us to have this chemistry. And then Billy's a great first-time director. I have to shout him out. He's an editor, an incredible one, but he really stepped into the director's shoes really well, and he made sure that the actors spent time off set, on set, running lines and things like that.
Anthony, can you take a minute and talk about those coaches?
Yeah, they absolutely were father figures in my life, and I thought that Don and Michael Pena, they did an amazing job capturing their sense of humor, the way they carried themselves, their mannerisms, and these are individuals I'm on a daily basis. I'm still in touch with them. I was actually just texting my high school coach earlier today, and so it's pretty neat because they haven't seen the film just yet. We're gonna get to watch it together in November, but I mean, they absolutely nailed their characters. And what I tell people is those coaches in my life, they echoed my mom's voice, just telling me what I could do and focusing on and building a style of wrestling that would work for me. Both my coaches used to tell me, we're going to focus on your strengths and camouflage your weaknesses. And so to have those three important people, my mom and my two coaches, the ones in my corner, be portrayed in a way that was amazing to see. I'm proud of that, and I can't wait for them to be able to share in this moment too.
Yeah. How close was that program really to getting shut down at Arizona State? Is that pretty accurate?
It did get shut down.
It did?
It did get shut down. Actually, it was in between my freshman and sophomore season. I remember I was literally working at the airport. I'm watching a plane, and my phone just would not stop ringing. And so I answered it, and it was a reporter saying, hey, we'd like to talk to you about ASU dropping the wrestling program. And so that was definitely a scary moment. Feel like the floor got pulled underneath me, but some Arizona State donors stepped up, and that's how we brought the program back. So that definitely happened. Yeah, it was real.
That's so exciting. I was watching and be like, no way, Arizona State wrestling? Yeah. But is it still in existence at the school?
I'm excited to say it is still in existence now. They're doing very well. They got a great team there, and they're building it back up. But there was a time that they did take it away for a little bit.
There were some actual ASU wrestlers in the film, current college students who are wrestling, who got to show up and wrestle in the movie.
Wow. Think you're a decent wrestler now, Jharrel?
I am now. That's my next bar fight, that's for sure. Nothing like this guy, but I definitely learned some stuff. Yeah, it was the best feeling. It's one thing to look at Anthony on set and he's like, yeah, nice, that's good, that's me. But it was another thing to look over at Judy and see tears in her eyes, and she looks at me and she goes, you're my son. And so it's a layer of pressure when you have the real life person, and you're used to somebody on set looking just like you, but the guy that looks just like me is the guy I'm playing. And that had a level, but you being there on set, Judy, really, really calmed me down. It was good medicine for me during the process.
Judy, anything to add? We've been in wrestling mode for a few minutes, but anything on that front?
I love wrestling mode.
Yeah.
No, I'm a wrestler's mom, but I remember when Anthony first, decided he was going to wrestle. That was hard because I didn't know what it was. But wrestling's become our family, and it did bring good people into our lives. And I've got to give Jharrel a lot of credit. Their facial expressions and movements and the grace that Anthony has when he's on his crutches, Jharrel nailed it. And so there were moments when I'd see him and I'd kind of oh, wait, that's Jharrel. So it was just great seeing the bond that these two had, and to see, and Jharrel's my son, I always ask him, are you behaving? Because it's just, now I'm mom, and I look out for him. So it's been nice to see the relationship they build, but to see that wrestling, was kind of the center of it all for us. And it definitely changed our lives for the better.
I have one last question, but I want all three of you to answer it. I mean, the movie, I think on the surface, it's about overcoming, obviously, a physical limitation. But what do you think it says in terms of how to overcome a mental challenge and an emotional challenge as well? Anthony? Well, you know what? I'm going to give you the last word, Anthony, because it's your story. Jharrel, starting with you.
Nothing. I don't want to take certain things I've heard you say, but one of my favorite things I hear you say is that, your opponent isn't just across the mat sometimes. Your opponent is in the mirror, or your opponent is at home, or your opponent is money, life, whatever it is. So I love this film so much because it is so much more than just a wrestling film. It is wrestling not just one person, but it's wrestling whatever you wrestle, yeah. I just want to keep it at that because I love your answers to these questions.
Anthony's got a great answer for it.
Judy, what's your opinion though? Or do you want to just talk just sort of your favorite themes that you see throughout the movie?
Oh, I love that they captured the relationship, but I know that Anthony believing in me is what pushed me to get my doctorate, and my other kids, believing in me pushed me to do that. And I'm also proud to say that all 5 of my kids have college degrees, and I'm a first-generation college student. So, but I know, even sitting here now, it's realizing that the mistakes that you do make, they don't define who you are. They don't define your character, and if you have hope to keep pushing past them, and you have someone that loves you, Anthony loves me unconditionally, regardless of the mistakes I made, and I'm very real with him, and we have a very honest relationship. I think I'm hoping that people take that away too, that regardless of what they're facing or what they've done or what they haven't done or what other people have done to them, that you can get past it and put your life together and be on a positive track for your life.
Mm-hmm. All right, Anthony. I mean, this is the story of your life. I'm sure you've been asked this question 1,000 times, but surely it's something that you probably think about a lot in terms of what you've overcome beyond the physical.
Yeah, I believe, to echo what Jharrel said, it's, we all wrestle an opponent in life. I call this my challenge. This is my challenge. It's a physical challenge, but in life, we all have something. It can be mental, it can be physical, it can be in the world, it can be whatever. There's always going to be an opponent. And what I hope people take away from this story is that no matter what you're wrestling in your life, it's not about what you're wrestling. It's about how you react to it. You can focus on what you don't have. You can focus on what you can't do. You can tell yourself, I'm too small, whatever. Or you can tell yourself, I'm unstoppable. I'm going to treat this like a puzzle. I'm going to figure this out. Because we all have blessings. We all have our own strengths. We just have to find those things and just, capitalize on those things. Just blow those things up and choose to focus only on those things, not what we don't have. And that to me is what unstoppable is. And so I hope people take that word and really just make it their own, as they're wrestling through life, because life is a daily wrestling match, but you just got to stand up, get back to the center of that circle, and just keep wrestling through it.
Love it. All right, Unstoppable in theaters December 2nd.